way back last time. And we just found out in January they declined it. And they didn't say.
I haven't been there in like a while, so I
They
thought
just,
maybe
they tell everybody.
I'm not gonna talk to
No, you wouldn't even. Almost. That one was. Water. And Paul wants to know if she's left. And she's with a little publisher and yeah, the first edition. Right, and I requested instructor resources that they're supposed to download the file within 6 hours. I requested them Monday, still don't have them. Requested them Thursday, still don't have them. It's supposed to take me 6 hours. Okay, that right there tells me I don't want to screw with you guys.
Well, that's what you can tell.
Yeah, well, that's what I've already told him, but he won't even get that. And if I don't hear something from him by the first part of next week, I'm calling John and I'm gonna say, John, what are you doing? You and I, because you want him, but.
Well, that's what I feel like.
You want him, but you give him time. We actually met at the first meeting. We met about this. I handed you books. We set a timeline. Oh, I
We had an opportunity.
Yeah. And it is gonna affect them work-wise, you know, but I just don't, nothing's perfect.
You go across the turnpike and people like.
Yeah, that's the way.
And when is this Pennsylvania?
Yeah, well, that's what I like, you know, you
Yeah,
put it
I
out there
love
to give them time for how you need it, what you need it. I'm learning more and more like my husband.
They don't realize how big a state it is.
Yeah, whatever happened, I was gonna text George. Whatever
I never went to another meeting like that, so I drove back to my interview with Bristol. So I was coming from I-95 to Bristol. You have to like, you treat of gas, because I felt nothing. And I didn't realize that would happen.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
It's concentrated in the cities,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Well, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Plus Orlando.
You have a lot of those small towns that, you know, most population is in the I-440, 95 corridor.
I had it all in my. Except for the.
Well, I was gonna try to call it today.
Thank God you drove down. God, you, that's right, 'cause you went.
Yeah, I have my.
Oh, yeah, because 3 is a magic number. Sorry.
I was just trying to sneak it.
I did freeze, and I'm on the same second.
Should I need one more second?
You need one more 7-3 if you're gonna get it.
Yeah, 3 seconds.
That's not what we wanted.
Or
It's just the fail safe. If you're gonna tell me that you're not gonna help me. It's not that, it's mine.
Yeah.
I've got nothing of my fall or summer schedule.
Right.
And especially city.
Yeah.
Because we're breaking we're going to be told.
What if you utilize
The company has to, the cost schedule.
and everyone will use it, then they can sign it right up.
When you call and ask me, I never run into that.
Well,
Next year, I said,
You know.
no, but I said that. So
but I don't know, John and I never, that they shared.
Oh. And then I said, just carry
Like,
on.
we can never find it anyway.
It's
So, whether or not it's been changed since then, and I mean, to be quite honest, I haven't been big into work either.
I think it might, I vaguely remember saying that.
Yeah, and that's what that I even brought.
We had some for a short time.
Class and we were doing several
I remember a lot of
He's anti-vaccination.
So when I. Yeah, so what we did is we're going to 20 step.
Roughly,
I don't think he does.
I'm gonna say,
You know, 80
so take 6 times 50.
I can use them.
So we're gonna.
That's
90 grand.
okay. That's 90. You can still get one of these, but one of
Yeah.
those. It'll still be under. And you're on.
Right, so you have double dipping.
Right, and you don't have that.
Right, right.
Other stuff.
And there's also the learning curve, you don't have to train them.
They really have the right way.
Yeah.
The idea of your mind is like
Right. Yeah.
They may be able to provide out there.
Yeah.
Maybe a year.
Right. Maybe What?
Yeah.
I know.
They're gonna want to don't substitute.
Okay, Gary, you gotta go back and get any more for them.
There's a lot of things where it's just like.
Peer pressure. Look at that peer pressure.
They want, they're calling, right? Yeah, I get them calling. I don't know why they call so. Like I want donuts.
Oh, that's your favorite. Honestly, peanut butter. And we don't bargain it, but it's not bargain.
No,
Oh, is that okay? Yeah, they're recognizing that they're not part of it.
They're recognizing the athletes as part of it. So they try and-
they would have been called.
Did you ever try the tiramisu cookies from Publix? Like, we did the things, if they make, they're called tiramisu cookies, and they taste like a tiramisu, like tiramisu.
Yeah.
No, and it's got chocolate.
Yeah, never had those.
My husband brought them home, and I was like, he didn't even look at that, which was so good. That's the one.
Yeah,
that's, well, yes, but
More
also
than
it's
it's
like,
like-
it was the coffee that where it literally tasted like
You recognize
and I
it.
love, that's one of my favorite desserts, so I'm just like, they were ahead of it, and I ate almost all of them, he had like 2, it was like. Right, you know, it doesn't mean it.
One of the boys left.
I think it's probably.
All the other issues.
Right. Waiting over snacks, so never good. It's juicy, it's more salty than sweet, and I'm way more sweet than salty, like I'm a chocolate. Right. So like, so that would be something with chocolate. Well, I to the point where, especially the dogs and I was like, there's no chocolate. I don't need it, so, you know.
You won't even grow out of that.
I don't think I ever realized.
Okay, if I tell you.
No, that's Matamore.
I did not grow out of that.
No. It doesn't. I've never read it.
See? Do it.
Yeah. And I love peanut butter. Reese's peanut butter cups are like my perfect snack. Oh, and my husband's more like Mentos, like Pringles.
So the sauce
Guy. Yeah, he's more salty. Or whatever.
All right, good.
Yeah,
We are here.
Yeah, you're all set.
Okay,
You can do it.
You're still. All right.
That's good. Great. Okay, back. Really? Well, I always have them, but they seriously. I mean, the next day, I try to have like one or two.
No, it's right. But there's one or two.
Okay. They're so good. And I see now it's public relations. Good. That's
Right, right.
I woke up with it like at 4 this morning, and I don't know what's going on with it. It's usually gone by now, because I've had coffee, I've been drinking my caffeine.
Yeah.
Probably still has a great idea.
Right. I think trip hazard.
Yeah, it's probably still not a good way.
I'm already crazy.
I was looking at Let's do it. Check it. Walk around. Yeah.
I just got some Italian stamps, so yeah, I got some. Very happy. These are brands that they usually. Yes, most of nursing students.
We'll check after spring break. Stop by, and something, right?
We have that, we're not wearing the floor.
That's how
Like a
we're.
bionic.
Order is very ill. Right.
Oh, really? Oh, good. We come in and came up. Yeah, but.
Right after spring break.
Okay.
Ready?
Back promptly at 11 o'clock. Keeping our street. At least this time, you guys suggested how much time we ran over. Yeah. Can't trust me trying to gauge time. I apologize for that. Wanted to come. We got good input, I'm sure, on our side, same thing on your side. But that's good, that's part of the process, I think. Make sure we get where we want to be. So what do we have with?
Yeah, so we kind of just talked through briefly what we think we agreed to and what we want to bring some counters on. So I'm just going to walk through, looking at it proposals in that regard. Starting with Article 3.1, I think we're in agreement that we'll see how this shakes out with everything else. So I don't think we'll be bringing more stuff on that in a while. Section 2, supremacy and severability, we're fine with either what you proposed today or what we proposed, what your proposal. So yeah,
Yeah, I would say we like your proposal today. I think they say basically the same thing, but I think if you guys want, if you're okay with that, I would say your, one from today, 3.2 is, we can consider that
Yeah,
a done deal for the most part. Frankly, we'd be okay with the other one too.
yeah. So, yeah, we can check that one off. The non-assignment, you just changed work to employer, we're fine with that. So it sounds like we're, check that one off. On the waiver piece, you struck our first sentence and did a little bit of editing. We're fine with what you proposed, so, as far as we're concerned, we can do that off.
Which one was it?
Waiver section.
Section 4, waiver. On non-discrimination, I want to think about this a little bit more. And on section B in particular, I think this is probably something that we'll, maybe revisit once we kind of see where we're going on, discipline. And the question of political views, and political affiliation. I mean, I think I understand your concern in terms of not having something that's super overbroad. But at the same time, we want to make sure that, you know, people aren't facing adverse employment action for, you know, just what they happen to think politically, which no arbitrator would uphold discipline for anyway. So if we get discipline, I think that may be less of an issue for us. But it's something that I think we just need to revisit down the line a little bit.
Let me jump in there too, because I think we're of a similar mindset. So we don't spring it on you down the road. Point out to me that we have in our board policy, we separate out pregnancy too, so we're likely to want to put that in here as one of the categories. It's by law, it's assumed within the sex category, but I'd like to have it separated out because not everybody realizes that. I assume that's not very controversial. We did note in yours, you still have the economic status in there, which we don't have in ours. We have similar concerns about that as with the political views. So I'm not sure that we would be agreeable to the economic status being part of the non-discrimination. But we want to come back, think about it, come back with a proposal, but it won't be too much different from what we've been kicking around today, but there will probably be a pregnancy added to it. Just so
yeah, in section C, we kind of talked a little bit about this. I think we're just going to do some brainstorming a little bit about how to thread this needle of making sure we preserve our rights without, you know, forcing knowledge.
Yeah.
Multi-front legislation on there.
Yeah, we recognize your concern there, so I think we can both start thinking about that. But if you have a proposal, our interests are aligned with yours, we don't want to necessarily, we see where you're coming from, and I think that's a valid point. So if you have some language you want to propose, I doubt it's going to be something that we would have heartburn about.
On 3.6, we were good with your counter on that. As long as it's readily available online, people can grab their own copy if they want it. And, you know, we'll be good with that. Flipping over to Article 4, we're okay with what you proposed. We have one issue come up in our discussion that we can either speak to or we'll think about bringing language piece on this. But we had an instance at another UFF chapter elsewhere in the state. So, well, UFF is a little bit unusual in its due structure. It's not sort of a flat amount, it's a percentage, right? That's because we represent people making $5,000 a year up to $300,000 a year. So a flat fee structure just isn't, doesn't make sense under those circumstances. But we had a situation where another institution failed to update dues following a salary increase. And so the local union was out $30,000 over the course of a couple of months until they realized that, you know, dues weren't being appropriately deducted. So, okay, what do you do about that? If you start taking out more dues and irritate employees, which is, you know, since in that case the institution screwed up, do they bear some sort of responsibility? So that's a concern that kind of came up in our discussion, not necessarily related to what you proposed, but just something we are thinking about and may want to address. So yeah, that was the only kind of issue that we're still kicking around on that section.
Yeah. I don't know if you have thoughts on how we should address it.
How
Huh?
is it currently addressed? Say someone wants more taxes taken out of their paycheck, or someone wants to increase their foundation donation or something like that, how do we deal with that now? It should be the same procedure for increasing union. Seems logical that that would be the way how it currently is.
If somebody wants to make a change in their deduction, they still have a form saying the change. They don't have to
The
be a
union
process.
dues are different though, because it's just a percentage, so it should, what you're saying I'm taking is it should be automatic, you get a wage increase. Our system should automatically take a higher amount out, and in that particular case, it didn't happen, whatever worse. So how do we address that if you go back and you say, well, we should have been taking out $15, and we only took out 12, and does the college pay for it? Are we trying to take it from the employee, that kind of thing? I see what you're saying, I don't know how to address if the college screws up. How do we fix that?
What is
The union's proposal, I would guess, would be like, college, you screwed up, you pay the bill, you know?
what is the union's reconciliation process? Do they have to check that more frequently to make sure if you tell us there's a new rate, we put it in, then you check, right, the next period in some way to see? if
Yeah, the
those
problem
numbers
is,
seem
I
correct?
think on that, and not to cut you off, Brian, the problem is that if you, mistakes happen, obviously, so we're trying to anticipate it, work it out, but if you don't automatically increase the percentage, if you assume that mistake might happen, you're also you gotta assume, I think, that you might not give that notice when something happens, you know, someone doesn't give that notice, so you can add more procedures, and maybe there's, along the lines of what you're saying, maybe there's almost an annual audit sort of thing, catch it quicker is what I'm thinking, you know, not that, trying to get money after the fact from anybody is going to just make people irritated. I don't like the idea, as you might imagine, that college is on the hook if we mess it up. Or maybe we should be for a period of time, you know, that kind of thing, or audit. You guys have some responsibility to make sure we're doing it right. We have some responsibility to make sure we're doing it right, and we all share the cost if we end up screwing it up. I'm not opposed to that concept. I don't know, we haven't talked about it.
Could the union have a manual process? So if they ostensibly receive a wage increase, then you all just reevaluate the dues deduction and do a resubmittal to human resources? Would that be tenable for us? And so this way then it's a co-shared type of responsibility. So it is a change to the salary.
The union would have to know the wage increase.
Right.
So someone
You
would
would
put
put
on
on-
notice, and they'd have to do that. I don't think you guys are gonna wanna resubmit authorizations or whatever. That's where you're gonna get them, assuming, sure, if I'm wrong.
Now, is it usually just tied to, because of the wage increase, or is it tied to potentially union increasing the percentage of the wage?
That, I mean, it could theoretically be one, although USF does not raise that percentage in over 15 years, to my knowledge. Typically, I don't think that happens. I think the concern is, you know, does the system recognize that the dues are 1%, or did someone face values and just make it?
How does your payroll, I don't know, is payroll or something like the percentage, is it automatic? So if you have 1%
That's applying the
dues,
system, but you gotta make sure, you know, what's all being included, is the due just on the contract, or if they teach overload or other items just on the contract? And the contract.
base,
So again, depending how complicated it is, how you approach.
we're already doing it, I'm saying, we're already doing it, right? So how is it set up now? Is it set up to where somebody got a wage increase, we put in the wage increase, it automatically increases
It
the
should,
dues?
I believe it's percentage based, I can check that.
Worth checking, but maybe that's something to think about. I don't know if we want to. My thought is if mistakes made, some procedure to catch it quickly and then share the responsibility. If not, or I don't know that we would want to pay liability in college if there's a mistake. But I'm not sure that we're necessarily, we have caucus time. Opposed to the idea if there's a window of time, but we want to share the burden of catching a mistake. Right, and share the liability and probably not burden the employees any more than necessary because they're the ones that really don't have. I guess you could tell employees, yeah, you should be checking yours too and see, but they're at least likely to catch if you're not taking on enough. If you are taking too much out, the employee is gonna catch it quick, in my experience.
Can the college pay dues for something like you do at a college once?
You can pay, you wouldn't necessarily say we're paying dues, but you can pay liability for it, yeah.
So
Even occasionally you get ordered to do something like that, but when there's a fight about it, but it can be legally done, but, yeah, no, I understand. I don't know, I don't typically have that in my contracts we dealt with, but I haven't had that issue come up where it was a big dispute. We have seen errors made before, and usually you try and catch and fix it prospectively, and somebody ends up eating the cost. Retroactive.
Okay, on section 2, we have a
So,
couple of.
one second, I'm sorry, Brandon. So on that section, we're gonna hold off for a while we consider that on agreeing.
Yeah, we don't have an issue with with what you countered with. This is sort of an extra thing.
Okay.
In addition that we're thinking about adding to that section. So in section 2, on part A, yeah, I mean, we have the process has been working, we don't have an issue with that. The one thing that kind of came up was, I guess, reasons that it might be denied. I think our position is that, you know, we wouldn't want it to, we would not want such a request to use a railroad facility to be denied for any reason other than that it's not available. The only other thing that came up in our discussion was the idea of possibly having some sort of time frame, you know, request that so much in advance and the approval or denial comes within so many days. That sort of thing.
And Brent, that's part of our process currently, with the 10-day, the activity form has to be submitted to the provost's office within 10 days of the scheduled activity.
Right. So we just may want to put that in the contract, but yeah, I don't think there's any issues with what's currently being done. Everyone reports it works perfectly well.
So on that, you wanna come back with proposals?
Yeah, all the stuff I'm describing, yeah, we'll come back to stuff on this. On section B, I mean, I think we understand, you know, we don't want the email list to just turn into, you know, people arguing back and forth, like, you know, comments on news articles or whatever. But at the same time, you know, we feel it's necessary, beneficial even, to have some sort of access to an email list for some purposes, and, you know, kind of analogous to the bulletin board. You know, not to be used for just yelling and screaming at people, but doing things like, you know, making general purpose announcements. So that's kind of what we're thinking about. We're probably going to come back with a proposal for access to email for kind of limited, sort of neutral, non-confrontational purposes. Section C, I think we had any big issues with that. Excuse me, I guess it's paragraph C. Didn't have any big issues with your proposal there. Section 3, on the union office, we're fine with your counter proposal. We consider that one checked off. On section 4, we're going to come back, I think, with a counter on this one.
Before you go on, 4.3. A couple things came up. I want to just clarify, I might have read earlier, one to agree. In our caucus, we want to do two things. One, or really it's the same thing, subject to availability. We're thinking one office college-wide. We don't have space on all the campuses, it's the issue. So I don't know that if you guys are thinking more than one office or one at each campus, or if we were thinking just one. But it occurred to us in caucus that we haven't talked about that.
Employer agrees to provide up to one rental office space, basically.
Yeah. Is that, if that's what you had in mind, maybe make that tweak. And we can agree, if not.
We didn't get into a discussion about 1 versus 2. So yeah, I don't want to necessarily commit to that, but we've had a chance to talk about it. The idea of having
Right, and our reflections on that is, we simply don't have faculty office space on all of our campuses. We're struggling with faculty office space. We hope to hire more faculty, obviously, to meet the needs of our students, and that's a challenge. So while we might have an office space on one campus, at this moment, another campus clearly is filled. So based on the discretion of the availability, on which campus it's available, where will we have the United Faculty of Florida office for the institution? So that was the concern.
You guys want to hold up and talk about that?
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Does it seem like no leadership stuff? Section 4, we're going to work on a counter. One thing in particular that came up was I think part of what we were imagining is on something like All College Day, where there's a bunch of different breakout sessions. Part of what we were envisioning with this paragraph B was to have like a, all about the union, about your contract or whatever, kind of be one of those breakout sessions. Not mandatory or anything, but if people want to go to that, then they can go to it rather than, asking if they commit even more time at the front or end of All College Day. There might be some other, tweaks we want to make, but that was a particular thing that we had in mind in our discussion around this section.
I think from our perspective, that's one that we can consider. We'll want to not agree to that today. Talk further about that.
Yeah, that's fine. Section 5, you probably already know what it's saying. The one concern we have here is we would like to have some sort of guarantee that the obligations to provide information come, with some particular measure of timeliness. I don't think we're interested in necessarily grieving whether or not you have to give something to us. I mean, there's courts for that, there's PERC for that. We don't disagree with that. But, some of this stuff, we just want to make sure that we can get it, in a timely fashion and not 3 or 4 months later. That's the only thing that I think we would envision even potentially needing to file agreements about. But most of this stuff is either public record or online, so it shouldn't be, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal either way. That's the only thing that we're thinking about is some way to make sure that we get it timely.
Why don't we put that in our camp to go back through it on our side, and we talk to these guys about timing it would take for these types of things, and maybe suggest a proposal within X days or whatever. And I don't feel comfortable saying that here, because it obviously depends on what you're talking about. Some things are instantaneous or days, so they might take 5 days. Let's talk between now and the next meeting, maybe we'll come back with some language on that.
Yeah, and generally, as a union business agent, I always get a little bit of heartburn about excluding things from the grievance procedure, but given the other venues that something like this could be challenged, we might be receptive to saying something like, the only reason to file a grievance would be timeliness or something like that. We'll just have to see what we can kind of come up with, but that's, I would say, not out of the question for us. On section 6, we'll think about the best way to accomplish this. We're fine with the upon request. We're a little less sure about the order designee part. we feel like there may just sometimes be situations where we really gotta bring something to the president and not to anyone else. You know, given that that might happen, we want to be able to have some sort of assurance that it can happen. You know, we get that there are times when, you know, someone else is, you're gonna be able to have a more productive conversation with someone else. But we just want to make sure that we have the ability to bring something straight to the president where we feel that's absolutely essential. And on the release time, yeah, I think we understand your position. This is something to hold off on until we see what we can get on various other things in accordance to your side.
Only thing I would add, so recapping, I got it written down correctly. Tentatively, I think we're all on the same page on 3.2. Taking your proposal from today, close to ours from the first time around. And then 3.3, 3.4, and 3.6, using essentially our proposal for today. And the rest of it would come back with some tweaks here and there after further discussion. We feel that's on the same thing on the grievance procedure, by the way. We're not quite ready to, we're narrowing the gap, I think, considerably on that with your version today, but we still want to hold on tentatively agreeing. I don't know with 3.2, 3, 4, and 6, whether or not we want to break those out and sign off on it, or we just want to note in the minutes that we'll have a tentative agreement, however you want to do it. You normally have a separate, break them out in separate articles and sign. And probably doesn't matter all that much other than if we're still going at this down the road, trying to keep everything straight. It's more of a challenge. I feel like this initial input.
Usually the way I do it is like usually refer to some full articles, but if you want to just, so that we know that we're kind of done talking about it, if you want to get a couple of clean copies of initial.
Why don't we bring them back for next time, clean, or I'll shoot you an email of those 4 clean, and you can bring them back with us next time. We can sign off on it. We'll make a note in the minutes that tentatively agreed 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, 3.6.
Yeah, that works.
If in the end we want to put them all in the same article, we got the rest of it for ease of use, that's not going to be an issue. We have to renumber it. That's one of those things we can look at pretty easily.
Yeah, that's fine. For next time, we had a couple of things that we were interested in talking about. One was the faculty evaluation article, which I think was our Article 8. And this is more of an issue than an article, but it's getting to be the time of the year when people need to put in, applications and things of that sort to be department chairs for the following year. We have some proposals out there relating to department chairs, supplements in particular, that may affect some people's willingness to put those applications in. So if possible, that's something we'd like to at least have a conversation about next time.
So let me just make sure, looking at your proposal from the very first session, the faculty evaluation was Article 8.
Yep.
I think we're good with trying to cover that next session too. We do the same thing, try and kick around some things, and that was one that mentioned might be something that would be a good segue. Chair stuff you have in Article 9. section.
Yeah, Article 9, Section 9 talks about kind of what they do. Article 10, Section 4A, and talks about what they get to do with it. So it touches a couple of different places. Since we have 3 weeks, we think it would be too ambitious to also talk about discipline. There's kind of a couple things out there that we've been saying, oh, this will be kind of contingent on where we go on discipline. So we think that's something we can also get together by the 22nd.
The issue for us is that you guys are off the week, right? So probably not going to get anybody to answer phones. I would prefer not to bite off more than I can chew on it.
Okay.
These Article 10, what was the section? 5, section 5, no, no, 4. I just want to make sure I don't miss. I think that's probably, those 2 main topic areas come back. We'll take a look at your proposals on each of those sections. Maybe do a markup, extent the other differences, and bring that back. And in the meantime, the other part is if anybody wants to bring back anything on the ones we just talked about, certainly you can do that. And I'm planning on doing that with the timeline on the information request. Give some more thoughts to some of the things that were close, but not quite. And agreeing with stuff, so you don't have to do that, but if you were talking about it. Well, I'm sure you can bring any of that back in any subsequent meeting.
Yeah, I think all the stuff we talked about today on 3 and 4, we'll bring language on all that. I guess the other thing, just in the interest of making sure stuff doesn't get booked, should we start thinking about locations, dates for summer, June and July?
What are we looking for now? Through May?
Just through May.
Through May.
I would say, yeah. Certainly from my perspective, it's good to plan out as far. It's always easier to just take it off the calendar if we don't need it than try and book things last minute.
I don't know. I guess you guys are probably around year-round, some people on our side might.
For me, it's easy. I don't know. You guys are
40 or because someone will have the extended work days in that time frame. So Fridays is closure at the time, so we may have to find out schedule wise.
all your Fridays are open, so I just heard.
Put that in the contract.
I'm okay. I don't care about Friday versus any other day, so I don't know your guys' availability.
I teach summer classes, so Friday is really the only day that I will have.
Yeah, but our facilities are closed on, after the May cutoff, where we have no facilities and personnel, so the college is closed on that new Fridays. So we have to look at, if the closest thing to the Friday would be that the
Is
Thursday.
there Monday for summer courses, Monday through Thursdays, are days that are better than others? We know that.
Monday, Wednesday, are definitely better. I mean, I have Tuesday, Thursday classes. So those are the days you teach.
Why don't we have Pam, paralegal, maybe circulate to you guys and just start looking at calendars and seeing how we can best make it work.
Yeah, sounds good.
But for the most part, yeah, I think it makes sense to start getting it on the calendar. All right. I don't know that we have anything else today, so made some progress today. For sure, making progress. Keep moving forward. They don't have to be voted or anything. If you guys have changes to the minutes, let us know or let me know. Yeah, just pass it along, otherwise, just let us know what you finalize. Take the draft off. I'm good with it. Oh, before we go, I just want to make sure that I got the next one on, the next date. Make sure we have date, time, and location.
22nd.
All right, that's what I have. So Friday, March 22nd, 9:30 at West Campus. Everybody got it? Okay. Good to go.
Discussion.
Thank you. This says something up.